Welcome to NASDAQ Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ. Joining us for this segment, we have Dr. Sofia Pasova. She's the founder, president, and CEO of StereoLOGIC. We also have Stan Pasova, Senior Vice President with StereoLOGIC. It's great to have you both with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. And Stan, the business automation industry is a $600 billion market. What is the current state of the industry?
Hi, Jill. Thank you for having us. The market is currently in hype. What this means is that as businesses shift to digital operations from traditional models, there is a very strong need for technologies that can analyze how business operates today and find opportunities for digitization. At the same time, clients fail to see consistent and scalable return on investment, and there is a very strong need for more intelligent and more advanced technologies.
Dr. Pasova, McKinsey & Company recently reported that 70% of all major digital transformations fail, and Ernst & Young claimed that up to 50% of all global RPA projects fail. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting question. Actually, too many vendors, too many technologies, RPA, DPA, low-code. What to choose? How to use? It's still major questions for customers. And even more complex question, where to put bots, yeah? If you have some activity and you spend manually 5 hours for it, it does not mean you need to put bot there. Why? Because maybe you have this activity one time per month. You need technologies that can analyze, deeply analyze what to use, where to use, how to use to increase ROI.
Stan, you say integrated process and task mining can provide a solution to this challenge. Can you explain what StereoLOGIC does and how it helps?
Yes, StereoLOGIC will automatically find opportunities for optimization and automation and digitization. It will do it inside any company, regardless how many employees it has, regardless of number and type of IT systems that it has. How does it do it? By automatically analyzing how company employees work with computer systems. Our patent algorithms will visualize core company processes, as well as human resources, computer resources, and the time that is being spent on profit-generating activities and wasteful non-value-add activities. So by maximizing those profit-generated activities using automation, the clients will generate returns on investment, typically in 3-4 months.
Dr. Pasova, how is what StereoLOGIC does, how is it different from what is available in the marketplace?
Yeah, our major advantage is speed and simplicity. Yeah, you can start use technology next day after you've seen it. You don't need installation on client computers. You will have results during first week. It's major accomplishment. Yeah, and it's platform agnostics. You can use 100 applications, different types of platforms, and StereoLOGIC will work with it. Company agnostic, you can use it for any company. Communications, banks, insurance, any company can use it. And major, we have outstanding customers, people who understand future, who make this future. He helps their enterprises to improve situation, improve processes, improve efficiency.
And Stan, the global process mining software market is expected to reach $11 billion by 2030. What should investors understand about process and task mining?
Thank you. The investors should understand that process and task mining is possibly the most critical component of digitization and automation. Why? Because the true value of automation is really in the properly identified and engineered processes being automated. As Dr. Pasova said earlier, there is no point automating stupid and wasteful processes, right. And therefore it's expected to grow and generate higher returns.
Appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us at Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
For me, I've used StereoLOGIC 2 specific times with 2 different companies. I was with a Canadian bank, of which I brought them in, and then in my current role with Genworth, I brought them in. What I like about StereoLOGIC is the simplicity, yet the complexity of the information that they're able to generate. So, and I keep on saying this, and I said this to a couple of people who have asked me throughout this conference. They don't have, they don't have the shiny objects. They don't have the glamour around it. But, those companies have a lot of the sizzle, but they got the steak, right? That's the easiest way to describe it. And the results that I get from StereoLOGIC, and I have to say with minimal investment, is bar none some of the most successful projects that I've ever had. Not just from because they're cheap or they cost. I mean, they are, because they're a smaller company, less overhead, less infrastructure. They tend to come in cheaper than any other solution around. But the improvements that they make in your business is just insurmountable. I mean, for Genworth alone, we talk about changing what we would consider a simple process that you would think is streamlined. So let's just take the underwriting process that you think is pretty standard. There shouldn't be very much inefficiencies throughout that, and to find over 30% process inefficiencies just within 3 months of using their system is astronomical. It's crazy, and I think I think the approach that they take, which is they kind of build it down to the lowest common denominator, and you're able to consolidate and roll it up to a point that, it's, if you want it at a top of the house layer, their solution has the capability to do that, or you can give it to some of your analysts who love that stuff and love mine data, and there's plenty of that to be, to get. So it's been a terrific relationship for us and for me. And whether I move on to another company or whether I stay or whatever, chances are my relationship with StereoLOGIC is not done.
I'm Neil Oswald. I'm a change agent. I've worked in financial services all of my life. I help banks build and implement large-scale systems and change their processes. And so I found StereoLOGIC way back in 2008, and it solved a lot of problems for me because it created ready documentation about what was happening, and it created ready tools I could use.
Amazing. And why did you select to work with StereoLOGIC?
Well, back in the day, I didn't want to have to hire a whole bunch of analysts. I wanted to use software to document processes. And if you look at what the documentation that comes out of StereoLOGIC naturally, it's got process maps, it's got timings, it's got images of what's going on, and you can actually use that to figure out what's going on and have a conversation about what you should fix and what sequence you should fix it in.
Amazing. And can you share an example case study?
Sure. With Financial, I was just at With Financial, and we were building a digital bank, and I wanted to document existing processes, and I wanted to do it quickly.
So how does StereoLOGIC compare to other vendors?
StereoLOGIC's easy to use. You can just click a link and put it on your computer and record, and then it readily produces documentation that you can use. And the reason that I do that is so I don't have to hire a whole bunch of analysts, and because if you do the classic way of getting processes documented, you're going to miss stuff. And so StereoLOGIC captures everything. It captures all the screens, all the activity, all the tasks.
Perfect. And finally, what are your recommendations for people that are considering task mining?
I think you should just try it. Like you'll be amazed at how easy it is to use, and you'll also find it gives you better documentation than you could get by traditional methods. So just do a proof of concept.
Amazing. Thank you very
Which
much.
was announced earlier this year at PEX Week USA, is Ronnie Mahabir, who's Senior Manager, North America Call Center Operations at Pitney Bowes.
The project that we implemented, this project took approximately 29 days, and our key objective with this project really was to improve customer satisfaction. Pitney Bowes had really started focusing on customer responses. We were using our NSAT model, our NSAT platform, and customer satisfaction had certainly become a key operational parameter for us. as well as over the last few years, we've been focusing on reducing operational cost. The one driving challenge at this point was we had to reduce costs within a very short period of time, which is what brought us to the StereoLOGIC model to take a look and say, can we do this in that short period of time? Can we document it? And can we develop a process where that document can be maintained with little effort, and it can be done by the people who are operational experts as opposed to having to deal with process engineers? And I have to say that's where StereoLOGIC came in. We were able to successfully do that. And you know, some of the results we got were pretty impressive. We were able to cut customer response time by about 56%. Our error rates, moved from very close to 0%. And our NSAT, our global target for NSAT was 65% as a corporate target.
IAG is an organization that works in requirements definition management. We're specialists in that field. We work with something like 300 of the Fortune 500 companies out there, and we help those organizations define their business processes and what they need to accomplish or their business need for large-scale system development types of activity. The issue in larger-scale engagements is that you've got maybe 10, 15, 20 analysts that are all working on the same current state analysis. And the issue is that you need all of those people to be doing work in an exactly similar way. And you need very consistent execution. You need very high quality product coming out of them. So very high quality analysis coming back from that team. So if you don't give them a tool environment that they can run and go across, one system for one area, one system from another, one system from another area, and be able to compare all those tools together or compare all those models together, then you've failed. StereoLOGIC is a software tool that we use for capturing the current state and the business processes that exist within a company automatically. There really isn't anything else like it. It's really designed as an extraction tool. It's designed to look at the existing information environment and be able to pull the screens, pull the process, assemble automatically that process steps in sequence so that you're not trying to do that through Visio and all these other kind of tooling environment and try to capture screenshots and things like that. So it's all there. It's one place. What's the screen? What's the process? What's the information environment underneath? And they have a place where they can elaborate rules and things like that. Pull all that together so you got a pretty good distillation of exactly how that existing process works. So there's a number of ways that you could potentially try to accomplish a current state analysis. And one of the challenges in terms of the other ways of doing it is that it takes a very long period of time. Whether you're doing structured interviews with groups of people, or you're trying to do reverse engineering, or you're trying to do other kinds of ways of extracting the current state analysis. And so many of those ways are very limited in terms of they don't function across platform, or they don't allow you to do it with the speed that you need. It is the modernization of unemployment insurance tax and benefit systems for a consortium of states. What that means is 140 or so professionals coming together from different state agencies. What StereoLOGIC does is it helps us to fairly simply manage that work process across many consultants and make sure that those consultants are working in an exactly similar way across all parts of that engagement. There's a difference between what people think happens, and if you ask a group of stakeholders, sometimes they'll give you one view, and then you go back into the information systems environment and say, well, how can that actually happen? Because the systems aren't set up that way. So what this allows us to do is capture what I'll call tribal behaviors. How do people actually perform certain functions within the systems environment? What you're really able to do is remove some of those significant risks that what people tell you that they do versus what they actually do in real life. In this case, what we were able to do is compress the amount of time required to do the current state analysis by about 2/3. And what that means is that you've got, in about 1/3 the amount of time, you've got a much better capturing of the processes and the workflows underlying this information system. And what that means is that it translates into very significant savings for the government and ultimately the taxpayer. We have an active strategy in the area of modernization that we are working with StereoLOGIC as one of our key partners. And we need to do that because a lot of times people don't necessarily know what their existing processes are when you're dealing with a modernization environment. And you need to have that understanding of the tribal behavior that goes on within an organization, and StereoLOGIC is a great tool to be using in that area. Not only the consistency that you can enforce in the way people conduct the work effort, but also the speed with which they can conduct that activity.
So a couple of things I really like about StereoLOGIC, Patrick. One is the ease of implementation. So it's super easy to get StereoLOGIC installed and up and running. Actually, I think the StereoLOGIC line would be there isn't really anything to install, but to get it functioning in the organization, usable at at the branch, at the call center, wherever your users are, back office even, that can happen very, very quickly. And many companies say that. Every software company I've ever worked with says, "Oh yeah, we can get that installed easily," and then try and do it in a real company. There's a lot of bureaucracy and it's very hard to do. StereoLOGIC can actually do it. So, that's one thing. Two is the way that it captures the entire process with the user interaction. I think this is a real differentiator for StereoLOGIC. Other solutions I've looked at that are capturing the logs and databases and so on can't possibly capture the entire picture of what the end user is doing throughout their day. So I think in real business processes outside of the basic kind of procure to pay and order to cash stuff, I think StereoLOGIC really does a remarkable job on those things.
Welcome to StereoLOGIC. We have found very simple solution for most complex problem. What is the problem? Companies spend hundreds of millions to make transformational projects, to make RPI projects, to improve processes, but results, unfortunately, from 50 to 70% fail. StereoLOGIC will help you to accomplish unbelievable results because we can validate any step of your change, of your transformational project. We can predict ROI and validate that ROI exactly as you expected, or you need to improve something again. Welcome to StereoLOGIC. We will help you. We have found very simple solution for most complex IT problems in industry. Thank you.